My name is Jim McGillivray and welcome to the Pipe Box, your source for all things piping. If you find this video useful, please give it a like, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel to see more videos like this. If you'd like to print out the score of the tune that we're doing today, go back to the description of this video on the YouTube channel and you'll see a link there. Amazing Grace, probably the most played pipe tune ever. Every piper knows it and the crowds love it. We don't know exactly where the original melody came from. We know that in 1772, a poet and clergyman by the name of John Newton wrote the words. He had been a slave owner who became an abolitionist, so you can see where the words came from. In 1835, composer William Walker set Newton's words to a traditional melody that he subsequently called New Britain. That's when the modern sung version began to become popular. However, believe it or not, prior to 1972, Amazing Grace was never played on the pipes. It was published in 1967 by Captain John McClellan in More Music for the Highland Bagpipe, but it didn't catch on. Amazing Grace simply was not part of the piping repertoire. In 1971, Judy Collins made a folk hit out of it. Shortly thereafter, the Scottish regiment, the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, recorded it with their pipe band along with a brass band as part of an album that they were doing. Pipe Major Tony Creese played the solo. Out of the blue, it became a massive hit. It sat atop the UK charts for 5 weeks, the Canadian charts for 3 weeks, and it hit number 11 on the US Billboard charts. It brought Amazing Grace to the pipes in a big way, and our music has never been the same since. Interestingly, the pipe version that we play today is almost exactly the same as the version the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards recorded in 1972. This is unusual because it's very slightly different from the way people sing the tune. But this is the version we play, and it's the version that's popular. So let's have a look at it now. The first thing I would like to do is play you Amazing Grace. I'll just play it the first time through. Then we'll talk about the tune, and I'll play the second time through a little later in the video. That's Amazing Grace. I'd like to show you the whole score right now because I'm going to sing through the tune and give you an idea of the rhythm that we're trying to express in this tune. Often in slow airs and hymns, people think there isn't much rhythm, but every piece of pipe music has its rhythm. I'd like you to pay attention to the fact that at the beginning of each bar, there is a half note or a dotted half note. In other words, each bar starts with a long note, and there is a tendency among pipers, I've found, not to play the half notes or the dotted half notes to their full length. So notice as I sing through this how the long notes all get their due. Again, 3/4, 3 pulses in each bar. Ho and 1, 2, ha, but oh, 1, 2, ha, dum, 1, 2, da, 1, 2, hold a 1, 2, ha-ba-do, 1, 2, ha-da, 1, 2, 3, strike 2, ho-1, ti, 2, ah-ba-do, 1, 2, ha-dum, 1, 2, da, 1, 2, 1, 2, ha-ba-do, 1, 2, he, 1, 2, 3, strike 2. I hope as I sang that you could hear the 3 pulses in each bar clearly, because in order to play this tune well and as majestically and as regally as it should be played, you need to have that rhythm going through your head or being tapped out on your foot. Ho-dum ba, he-ba-do, he, ha-dum bro, ha-bo. We'll talk a bit more about that as we get into the second line. I'm assuming for the purposes of this video that you can play a D throw, that you can play a D strike, and a high A strike. Those are pretty fundamental pieces of technique that you really should know before you try to attack a tune, even as simple as Amazing Grace. So, some points of expression as we go through here. In the very first lead-in bar, you'll see a dotted low A followed by a cut D. Make sure you hold the low A here. I often find pipers tend to round this out and it comes out. Hold the low A. Then 2 beats on the D. Now, at the end of bar 1, we see a little run from F to a short E and a D. As you look at those notes, the way they're written, they look very short. And indeed, we play them fairly quickly, but I often find that pipers tend to rush these and play them too quickly. I hear that often. You want to take your time with that little run and just the tiniest pause on the D at the end of that run. So it's not as frenzied and as hurried as the note values make it appear. Make it nice and clear and measured. That takes care of much of the first line. D strikes, I'm going to go back to bar 1 and bar 5. We have the D strike. I'll say a little bit about the D strike because I often see pipers who crush the D strike. They make the G grace note and the D strike at almost the same time. You want them separated. It's much the same sound as a doubling. So be sure you separate those 2 grace notes. One little thing about the D throw. We see in bar 3, there are 2 ways to play a D throw, what we call a heavy D throw. And a light D throw. I won't go into the details of those 2 D throws here. There's a good explanation of them in my rhythmic fingerwork technical tutor. For our purposes now, I will say that in slow airs, I like to play a light D throw, same as in Piobaireachd. In light music, I tend to play a heavy D throw. So in this tune, I would play a nice light D throw. That takes care of most of the technique. There isn't a lot in this tune. In terms of timing, I would like to go to bar 7 and bar 8 because I see pipers having trouble with the counting in these 2 bars. So I'm going to play from bar 5, and I'll play bar 6 and bar 7 and 8, and you'll hear the timing on the long, long high A's, because I hear lots of pipers have trouble with this. So, bar 6, I'm going to sing bar 6, bar 7, and bar 8 and count it so you can see exactly how those high A's are timed out. So, bar 6. D, hoba, 1, 2, 3, strike, 2, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, O, D, D. So, those high A's aren't kind of randomly timed. There's a very specific beat for those, and I would really encourage you to sing through the tune. You'll hear pipers often talking about singing pibroch. It's very useful in light music too, especially if you have a little bit of trouble with the technique in a tune. Your fingers will get in the way of your musical mind expressing the tune the way you want to. So the first important thing is to get your musical mind on straight, and I do that by singing the tune. Pipe teachers will tell you if you can't sing a tune, you won't be able to play it, and this is very true. So if you can find your way to sing through the tune the way I have in this video, that'll be a huge first step towards playing it. The rest of the lines in this are pretty much the same as what we've already gone over. In bar 15, we end with a dotted half note, which of course is 3 pulses. And then in 16, we end with a strike and 2 pulses. So that's pretty much how Amazing Grace goes. It's not a hard tune, as I've said, and the most important thing is to get your rhythm into your fingers and make sure you're counting the tune in your head so that it has a nice underlying pulse to it. So now what I would like to do is play you the tune again on practice tenor, and I will play the second time through so you'll hear how the second ending goes. Amazing Grace. We play it at weddings, we play it at funerals, we play it at all sorts of events, and people just bawl their eyes out. It's a very powerful piece of music. I'd like to finish now by playing Amazing Grace on the Blair digital chanter. next time, from me, Jim McGillivray at the Pipe Box, good piping.